Entrepreneurially Thinking is a presentation of BioSTL and CET, Center for Emerging Technologies, with raregem-productions, changing the way you view new ventures, including you on the pathway to success with your business in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. Here's your hosts, Cheryl and Christy. Now let's get thinking entrepreneurially.
Welcome back to the Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. Our goal is to enlarge your entrepreneurial mindset and create pathways for business success in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. I'm Christy-Maxfield.
And I'm Dr. Cheryl-Watkins-Moore, the director and lead for our Bioscience Inclusion Initiative with BioSTL.
Hello.
Hello there. We are back at it again. This is great. Hey, Christy.
Hey, we're moving along with our new seasons, our new guests. We just keep churning out new programming every week, and we're really excited about that and thrilled that folks are listening.
Yes.
We are, at or well beyond the 20,000 mark, depending on when you're listening to us, and very excited to have that number continue to grow. We can't do it without you, and we certainly can't do it without our founding sponsors, BioSTL and CET, who we thank for their continued support. We also want to remind you that they're always doing exciting programs, whether it's the Vision Conference that Cheryl's already planning for October, or the BioSTL Fundamentals Program, the Square One Ignite and Bootcamp programs, the online startup toolkit.
Right. There's so much going on.
There's so much going on. I know. So check out our sponsors, support them as they've supported us, and please share our new episodes as they come out. Give a shout out to your favorite guests and invite 5 friends to subscribe to the podcast on whatever
Just 5. Come on.
Come on. I want to make it easy and doable. 5 a week.
That sounds good.
Okay. So they can find us on their favorite platform for podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, LinkedIn. And as Gary Vee says, the future is voice, so shout it out.
Shout it out loud.
All righty.
Well, personal empowerment begins with self-awareness. This is so interesting. I just was a keynote speaker at a...
You're always a keynote speaker.
Well, it was for a symposium. And it was really interesting because this is when I was talking to young people and talking about being self-aware and how that is so critical now. One of the things that we're going to be talking about today, it's about taking control of your life. It's the ability and authority to create, decide, and make changes for yourself. Dr. Guy Wench of Psychology Today says that merely feeling empowered is not enough. He stresses that improvement and actual personal empowerment occurs only if we apply these feelings in the real world and get results.
So we need to have a plan and we have to execute.
Just can't feel it.
But it's a place to start.
You got to feel it and execute, right?
All right.
Okay. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with a woman who we both adore.
Yes.
Who offers hundreds of programs and events that spur human growth. She teaches participants how to unlock their personal power to create extraordinary lives. Visionary strategist, master communicator, top-notch trainer and facilitator, Rebeccah Bennett joins us today. So as we always say, stay listening.
BioSTL is a proud founding sponsor of this Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast, and we want you to know all about the great things they are up to. BioSTL Fundamentals is an entrepreneur development program targeted to founders wishing to start a company in the bioscience space, including therapeutic products, diagnostic products, medical devices, animal and crop agriculture products, and research tools. Participants earn resources by achieving specific coaching goals. You can learn more about BioSTL Fundamentals by visiting biostl.org. And for your renewed and continuing support, BioSTL, we say thank you.
I'm Rebeccah Bennett. I'm with Emerging Wisdom, and thinking entrepreneurially to me means seeing myself at cause rather than at effect. I am an agent of change. I am an agent of creation, not just that which is created. And I think that consciousness, that's the owner's consciousness. That's the entrepreneur's consciousness. That's what thinking entrepreneurially means.
As Cheryl said, today, Rebeccah Bennett is joining us. Rebeccah is founder and principal of Emerging Wisdom and its subsidiary InPower Institute. And she has had a successful career in public policy consulting, organizational and community planning, public engagement, and for more than 20 years has been doing the work that is transforming individuals and communities all around us. Emerging Wisdom is a forward-thinking social enterprise that helps individuals live empowered lives, assists leaders in building impactful organization, and promotes communities to create brighter futures.
An extraordinary life.
Well, and I can say all those words, but once you hear Rebeccah speak, which I'll stop talking so she can. But she is every day facilitating shifts in consciousness and behavior and improving community conditions, which is why she founded Emerging Wisdom while she's doing the InPower Institute. So thank you so much, Rebeccah, for making time to be here with us.
Yes.
Thank you, lady.
Rebeccah and I get to hang out with the work we do together on Forward Through Ferguson. We rarely get to just hang out, which is one of our aspirations for our own empowerment.
Yes.
But you were gracious enough to join us. So tell us more. I mean, to say that you are the founder and principal of Emerging Wisdom and InPower Institute, you were working like the rest of us, doing a job, a day gig, right? And you had a vision for what your life could look like. And that started even before Emerging Wisdom was a thing.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that and your journey.
But the first thing I want to tell your listeners is that I love you, lady. Okay? And not just because I follow the podcast. So listeners, know this. We are friends outside of this podcast.
We are.
Yes.
And these are phenomenal, phenomenal women. So when they ask, I say yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Yeah, I mean, like so many others, I had a job, right?
Yeah.
But before I had a job, I had a vision for my life. And I think, I don't think that's unique to me. I think many of us have some sense. Maybe it's not a crystal clear picture, but we have some sense that there is more to us. There's more to life. There's more to our world than what we are perhaps living in that moment, right? And it creates some divine discontent, what I would call some divine agitation. Something on the inside is like, there's more. Right? And so I got the credentials and did all the things I was supposed to do, and then went to school, left school, got a job doing some meaningful work to help make communities better.
And you are not a native of St. Louis.
No.
You are a native of D.C.
Yes. I'm a D.C. native. And that figures into my story because D.C. is the, center for political activity in our country. Right. And so I grew up in an environment where people were making decisions about the future of our country. My mother was active in politics and active in social justice and a mayoral appointee and all of that. So I grew up watching her make decisions and being very clear that my place was, in the front.
That's right.
That's my place.
Lead from the front.
Lead from the front. But that's an important thing for a little black girl.
Did you have siblings, or was it just you, Rebeccah?
It was just me.
Okay.
It was just me. I did not have siblings from my mom. My dad had other children, but I wasn't raised
But you had
them.
a great role model, it seems like, from your mom who told you, like you said, you lead from the front.
Yes.
Right.
And I think those are important messages, not because there's anything wrong with the back. It's just that I was not to believe that was the only territory that my life could occupy. And I wish more of our children, and quite honestly, more of our adults, believe that their place is wherever they belong, wherever they are.
Exactly.
Right. So, but I got to watch women lead. I got to watch a black woman lead. And I can't say how important that is in terms of cultivating my own sense of agency. This notion that we need to see folks like us.
Yes.
Whatever those folks are. So if I'm gay, if I'm straight, if I'm transgender, if I'm black, if I'm white, if I'm Asian, we need to see. There's so much about our physiology and what we take in and think is possible.
Right.
That has to do with what we see in our world. So I saw that in D.C. and I figured, okay, I'm going to have a life probably in politics or policy.
And you knew that early on?
I knew that early on.
Wow.
Yeah, it was dinner conversation every day. Did you see what so-and-so did? You believe that?
So you guys
what are we going to do about it?
That's a great thing to be sitting there talking with your kid about politics, what's going on in the world, how is it affecting different people. And I love DC from the environment. You've got so many different cultures, you've got so many different people and how people are affecting change in communities. So that's really interesting. So that was early on. What was college like? And then how did you transition into career?
Yeah. So college and grad school, I did what a number of people do. You know, your parents say if they have the means, and I do realize that this is a position of privilege, right? If they have the means, they say, you know, you're going to go to college,
Absolutely.
right? And
that's most black families, especially growing up.
Right.
They were like, they would work their fingers to the bone to make sure you go to school.
Right. That's right. All this sacrifice. Are you kidding me? You better do something with that life.
Amen.
Right. So college, and then I went straight into grad school because I wasn't sure what I was going to do.
That's a great little...
Well, you know, knowing that you're going to lead from the front is one thing. Knowing that you want to do policy and politics is another. How that manifests?
Yeah.
That's a big question mark, right?
It's a huge question mark.
So were you in political science as an undergrad, and then you decided to go... Okay. And then you decided to go grad school and do policy?
I did political science, African American studies, economics. Those were the places that I focused. And then I got to grad school, and I did policy. Right, wow. with a deep concentration in economics. And so it really cool. framed me. Now, mind you, I haven't used any of that. Since.
Oh, I think you are using
but all the intersectionality work you do is all about that.
Yeah. Well, it's not that I haven't used the policy. I haven't used the sort of focus on economics in the conventional ways. But at least I understand it.
Yes.
Right,
and how it's affecting communities, and how it impacts
communities. That's right.
That's right. Very cool.
Yep. So I came out of school, and I did AmeriCorps, and then I did a Choral Fellows program that brought me to St. Louis. And I was on my way to get a doctorate when I ran into two women who had just started a business. This was Jessica Perkins and Lorna Godwin.
Yes,
right?
two other fabulous women.
Yes, two good friends. Yes, absolutely. Yes,
they had just started a brand new startup at the time. They were working out of their homes, and they didn't have an employee. And I was their very first one.
Oh wow!
Yes, I was their first full-time employee. Right, and their focus. They were a private business. This is the thing, right? I thought I was going to go into public life.
Sure,
but this was a small business that saw itself as having the public good as its bottom line.
Yes.
And so how do you use consulting, right? And how do you use public engagement and public policy and community planning and do that from a private sector way to support public sector activity that really transforms communities? And I was lured by the prospects of that, because that's not a common sort of business offering or business platform. And I was sucked in.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think what's really interesting is that with their organization, Vector, we can mention the name, that you would see them as a traditional communications firm, but it's
if you weren't looking close.
Because I think they do phenomenal work.
They do
here in our community,
and a lot of talent has come from Vector.
Yes,
I think of all the folks I know who have spent time working with Lorna and. Who continues to run the business, and I think
Jessica
and how all of that has emerged, and what Jessica's gone on to do in her space, what you've gone on to do in your space, and but we've also talked about how having that vision, knowing you were going to lead from the front, being able to experience working for a for-profit startup with a social conscience and pulse. Was part of what led you to explore opening your own business.
Yes. Yeah.
And you, like most entrepreneurs, were working two jobs.
Yes.
Long before you were just doing Emerging Wisdom, right?
Right. I was. So the first thing I have to say is that Jessica and Lorna were a small business incubator. Right?
Yes. I think they really are, yeah.
I honestly think that when I look back to the amount of time that I spent there and the people who were there, almost everybody owns a business. And so in part, I want to say thank you. Again, we were talking about the importance of modeling, right? So when people are paying close attention to what you do, you give them permission to stretch without having to actually give them permission. Right.
That's how I met you. Do you remember?
Yes, you met me through Vector.
I met you through Vector, and Vector was one of our major organizations that helped us get the inclusion initiative off the ground here. So that's how Rebeccah and I met.
Yes, that's how we met. How we met. So I'd like to say that life has given me a couple of aces, and Jessica and Lorna were certainly aces as entrepreneurs to model after or to follow. But the thing about the transition, right? when you have something in your gut that says there's more here, they were such a supportive environment. I said, look, I have other interests and I really want to explore them and get them going. But I wasn't ready to quit my job, right? Because I didn't have the plan. I didn't see the numbers, right? You get, this is the thing. You business, you have to see the numbers. I didn't see the numbers, though I felt the mission, right, was crystallizing in me. And so I started the business in 2006 while I was still an employee of Vector. And I didn't have to sneak to do it. Now, I recognize that that's not the case for everybody,
it isn't.
right? That sometimes we have to keep our cards close to our vest before we sort of publicly announce that we're launching out. But I did so with their blessing, recognizing that much of what we were doing was resonant and meaningful and powerful for me, but that it didn't leverage the fullness of my skill set, right? That there were other parts of me that wanted to be more fully experienced and expressed, and I needed an outlet for that.
And we've heard that from entrepreneurs, whether they've started a pharmaceutical company or a consulting firm like Emerging Wisdom, or if they've gone on to produce a manufactured good, that feeling like I'm not living up to my fullest potential. All of me isn't being put to the service that it needs to be put to, and there's just more, and I can't quite do it if I stay here, even though beyond is scary. And uncertain and unknown and unknowable. We hear that over and over again, that they just know there's more.
And I think from an employer standpoint, you know, when you have an excellent employer that you work for that sees that in you and says, you know, with my blessing, go out. Because guess what? You have now offered out to the universe, I think, just another possibility that comes back to you in different ways. So it's not like you're just trying to hold on to talent. That talent is going to impact you in so many different ways. So our hats off to, wow.
And I have worked with Lorna and Jessica since leaving the firm, right? So this is the gift that keeps on giving. And now I have a team of 6, and they all have businesses. Right? So I am replicating what I saw. Again, the power and importance of being able to have examples, not that we stay within the footprint of those examples only, but that they give us a sense of what is possible.
And you have family. You have now grown up. You got a family of your own, right?
I do.
And how do you balance all of that? Because I know.
This is the podcast where we tell the truth.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Exactly.
So when I'm on Oprah's podcast, I'm gonna say yes. I balance. I take my chia
seeds. Exactly. No, this is the real deal. This is the real one. This is the real deal.
Yeah,
all right.
No, I don't balance it all. That is the truth, and I'm not as focused on balance either, right? And so what I do is I'm clear about what are the commitments that I need to make, and how do I live into those commitments? Because sometimes I'm going to be more present to the work of our community or to the work of the business than I am to my family, and sometimes I'm going to be more present to my family than I'm going to be to these other things. And so,
but I think that is so important, because we as women, people are always saying, how do you balance all of that? You got kids here, you got a husband here.
It's a blend.
We don't. You know what? I love the fact of what you just said. Sometimes we are here because that's where our attention needs to be. And you know what? Sometimes we're over here with the family, but it's not like you've abandoned either.
No, it takes a village to raise a success.
Oh my gosh.
So we need teams of people to help us. I early on didn't have this commitment, but the more mature I become, the clearer I have been about this commitment is that I am unwilling to have my family have degraded presence for me. Right? That's the commitment I've made. That doesn't mean that we have the exact same amount of time. It is that if when they engage me, all they get are the dregs of what is remaining at the end of the day,
that is not good.
Then that is not good, because I am responsible. Like, of the places where I'm actually responsible and accountable, it's to these children, it's to my husband, not just to my work. And so while I can't say that it's an always balanced thing, I'm really mindful of what is the quality of presence and attention. And even if I can bring high quality presence and attention
for a short
any
period
place,
of time,
it is transformative.
My husband always laughs.
Yes.
I'm like, you know what? We need a wife.
Yes.
Because you know what? Both of us are busy doing. But but I love the fact that most people don't. They are not overt in saying that because we can't be everything. We can't do everything.
No, we can't, and we have to make choices. And when we come back, we're going to continue that conversation.
CET, the Center for Emerging Technologies, is a proud founding sponsor of this Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. We want you to know all about the great things they are up to. Square One offers 2 training options. Square One Ignite, a 4-week program created to help founders quick start their business model validation process. Or Square One Bootcamp, an in-depth 10-week, 50-hour program that combines formal instruction with hands-on learning, networking, and mentoring. To learn more about Square One Bootcamp or Square One Ignite, visit CETSTL.com. And for your renewed and continuing support, CET, we say thank you.
Rebeccah, you had mentioned that you now have a team. You have your daughters who you're modeling experience and pathways for. You have this team, all of whom have their own businesses but are also integral part of your work. You've got Emerging Wisdom and InPower Institute, which we want to talk just a little about so our listeners can understand what those two entities are and do. And I just got your email this morning, because I'm on your list, about saying an unqualified yes.
Yes.
And part of that being about having or giving or feeling like you have permission to have an unqualified yes. So I know I have just question stacked.
Yes.
Craziness.
Yes. Unqualified yes.
Yes. Unqualified yes. But all of that goodness. So how are you creating that space for your team? And in turn, how is that letting you live into the Emerging Wisdom and the InPower Institute stuff that you're doing?
So let me do just a little bit of explaining for your guests
and for me, because I
for
don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You got to get on the list.
I'm not on the list.
Oh, see,
I got to get on the list.
Yes, to the list. You need to be on my list, sir.
I am making sure I'm going to be on the list, sir.
Yes. So you queued me up a little bit by talking a little bit about Emerging Wisdom, but let me put the simplest frame I possibly can on what Emerging Wisdom is and does. Right? We're a business, yes, but what is our business, right? Our business is transformation. That's the business that I'm in. Transformation for individuals or people, transformation for organizations, and transformation for communities. Now, I recognize that usually those are separate businesses, that somebody who's in the individual transformation business might be a coach, right, or might be a speaker, and someone who's in the organizational transformation business might be a consultant or be a trainer, and someone who's in the social transformation business might be a policy person or a big facilitator, right? I just happen to do all of that. So
and do it unbelievably well.
Oh my God!
You know, it fits. It's how we live. We are individuals, but we operate and exist within organizations. And we live within communities, and those organizations function in communities. So,
and the educator in me has to point out to folks that she is in the transformation business, and how that manifests, what product and service that is, changes based on her audience.
That's right.
And is driven by what her talents and skills are. So getting at the core of what business you're actually in versus what product or service you produce is incredibly, like, if you take nothing else, and I cannot believe you would take nothing else from this conversation, but that to me is something we struggle to help people understand, and you've just said it so beautifully that I had to point it out.
Thank you. Because we offer different services, right? We coaching, consulting, facilitation, planning, multi-stakeholder transformation initiatives, professional speaking, blah, blah, blah.
This for us, for our Equity in Entrepreneurship Collective Summit that we just had hosted here, and did it beautifully. Oh my gosh.
Right? But different clients, different things. But the business is about transformation. Right? That's the business. And so the connection to InPower Institute is it's the division of the business that focuses on personal transformation. Right? Because that piece is so big that it has in many ways its own rhythm in its own life. That's where we are supporting people in living extraordinary lives and in creating communities that are more just and more vibrant and more whole, right? Because the outcome of your extraordinary life isn't just that you're happier, it's that you actually have the capacities, the faculties to reimagine the world in which you live.
That's
and
powerful.
Then to seed a better life and future for you and for those who come behind you.
Oh, that's powerful.
Right? So
like I can't be
powerful.
with Rebeccah and not be floored when
Absolutely.
she puts into words all of these things that you know are around you.
Yes.
And
But I love
gives
the
me
fact
chills.
that it's tied to impacting communities, because a
Yes.
lot of people, what you just talked about with transforming from a personal standpoint, some people just look at it, I'm just transforming me.
Right.
And not looking at how that transformation can positively or sometimes negatively impact their worldview or where they are.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So so the InPower Institute, what does that consist of? Is that like, tell me what kind of, is this yoga? Is it, what is it?
Okay. So InPower Institute is a center for community healing and optimal living. How about that?
Yeah.
For marrying, right, personal transformation and community transformation together. Right? Because community healing is what we're going for. We don't just want people to be better. We want better people to create a better world.
Yes.
Right? And that's the frame there. And so its focus is on programs, workshops, services, in 5 or 6 different areas. So one is abundant living, right? How can you not only have life, but have it more abundantly? And that deals with many of the issues that we understand. That deals with our money management and all of those kinds of things.
Sure.
Deals with business. We have a whole host of business workshops and sessions and seminars and all of those things, right, that help people. What is it that you need to fully resource the life you have?
Yeah.
Right. Thinking about abundance from that frame. And so that's one of the areas. Holistic health and healing is another area. Harmonious relationships is another area of focus. Community injustice is another area of focus. Remember, we're talking about that better world.
Right.
Cultural arts and expression, right? When we authentically express who and what we are, we then do great things. And then spiritual growth and discovery. And so what we're talking about is how do we advance wholeness and well-being at every level of the human experience. That's our work.
it's just a small little thing she's trying to do.
Just a little thing. Just a little thing.
Just a little thing.
And how do you do that with 6 people?
Yeah. We don't. Right? We have a team of 6. Mm-hmm. And I want to say the evolution of our model, because when I started, it was just me.
Right.
Right. And that left me crazy.
Right. Not scalable.
Right.
Oh, no.
And crazy making.
Crazy and broke.
And
no,
broke.
let me
Even better.
Yeah,
let's talk that real time.
Crazy and broke.
No,
Right.
I did not. Like I said, I went from 6 figures in this bank account to down to $118.27.
Let's rethink the business model.
I'm going to have to rethink the business model.
Exactly.
Yes. Right? So I'm telling the truth.
Oh,
right? That
yes.
we have a dream and we have a
Exactly.
vision and we give everything to it. Right? And then we learn from it, and we can learn some things. And one of the things I learned was, I had to figure out a different model, business model, and I needed to figure out a different staffing model. Mm-hmm. That the nature of community healing and transformation was never supposed to be a one-person thing. It's community,
Yes.
by the way.
Right.
And so we did end up having a team of 6, and the business model was to grow the other parts of the business that really generate lots of revenue, and then to figure out to get this piece up and going, and then get this piece to be self-sustaining.
Yeah.
So
I think you did what many of our entrepreneurs. I always look at failure is a lesson.
right.
It's not a bad thing,
Right.
because it makes you rethink what you need to do, and if it's the right thing for you to do. So that's very interesting. So you rethought and put a different plan in place.
Yeah.
The plan was totally different than what you had envisioned before.
Yeah, well, what I had done before, not just envisioned before. I mean, we opened the first center in 2010, and so I closed it in 2013, 2014.
Okay.
And then I No, 2013. And then I think I came back at it in 2015. So the business didn't close, but the center, the institute did for a while. Yes. And so I took a couple of years to rethink and reimagine and to accumulate resources again. Because I really do mean that I was broke. Like I'm not being I'm not being hyperbolic or I'm not exaggerating.
You had that 27 cents.
Yeah, I had the 27 cents. and I had to grow that thing back up. And come at it in a different way. But to get to your, well, how do you do this with only a team of 6? You use a different model, and that is if we start from the perspective that people are engaged in acts of healing and recovery and well-being every day, then I don't need to be the expert that creates it for you. I need to provide the platform where you more fully express what it is that you're already doing.
You become
optimized. That's right. I can help you get to an even bigger audience of folks who are waiting for or desiring just what you have.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so it was a shift in frame. There are two things. Yes, I can offer workshops and classes, but I can also greet you with an unqualified yes, Christy, where you can offer workshops and classes. Right. And so now our community of collaborators is close to 100. Right. Where the invitation is, there are a team of 6 of us who are going to have on any given day classes and workshops. But we ask the community, do you have something in any of the areas that I've described that you want to bring to the community that you have found to be beneficial for you and for others? If so, we greet you with an unqualified yes. If you have the courage to create it, we have the courage to support it.
Wow. So that is really taking community in and embracing it.
Yeah.
Because I think that is such a strong statement, because what you're saying is we're not the experts.
Yeah.
You guys out here are the experts, and we want to be able to integrate, collaborate, and support that. That is amazing.
We have something to offer, but you do too.
Yeah, absolutely.
A really different model in so many ways. And so you talked about closing the physical location for a while and coming back and rethinking how you essentially staffed it, right?
Yeah.
And how you're providing goods and services. What have you learned in that period about scaling that has changed the way you know, initially you were growing a business while working a full-time job.
Yeah.
You could continue to pour your energies into both InPower and into Emerging Wisdom. Is that going to be feasible moving forward, or have you developed another model in terms of how to scale, how to bootstrap or not bootstrap? Just curious.
Yeah. I'm still in the midst of the question, right? So I'm going to answer this not from the place of having resolved it, but from the place of still scratching around it and feeling my way around it. So the thing about scaling up is that you got to be prepared for exponential growth. And I don't think I don't know how you are except to be in it, right? This is one of these things that, in entrepreneur,
be a little bit.
You can think about stuff all you want, but like you don't know it till you commit. Like you got to put your foot on the path, and then something happens. Right. And so we literally went from 2 people, me and someone last year, to 6 people,
which is huge. That's an exponential step function.
It's like, whoa, right? What happened? And with it, then the classes grew. Exponentially too. I mean, we quadrupled classes, and now it looks like we're about to do that to another degree.
Wow.
We've outgrown our 3,000 square foot facility, so I'm now looking for 30,000 square foot commercial properties to purchase, not rent. Right. So I'm in the midst of scaling. Because it wants to be. And the bookkeeper in me is like, wait.
Where are those pennies, and how are they hanging out together?
Because we're not going back to 27 cents.
No.
I'm right.
Hashtag not going back to 27
We are
cents.
not going back to 27 cents, but it's meant that I've had to hire different kinds of expertise. I had to say this stuff that I don't know, help me figure out, as we take this Center for Community Healing and not only have it be a physical space, but also have it be a digital presence. Right. How do we monetize that? Who knows what they're doing around that? Right. I mean, so I am having to rely on people who have knowledge, information, and expertise beyond my own. I know transformation. Right. I know that part. I live that part. But there are other people who know how to scale.
Right.
And so, and how to scale in different environments. Right.
So it sounds like Emerging Wisdom. That's your consulting arm, right?
Yes. That's the whole thing. But the locus there is organizational and social.
Okay.
The locus on the InPower is the personal.
Is the personal. So Emerging Wisdom has all three.
Okay.
But the personal is so big that it's its own subsidiary.
So that's because I was thinking of it backwards then, because I was thinking that your cash cow was from the emerging, and then this
You're right.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
You were right.
Okay.
You were right. The profit centers of the business are around the organizational and the social, and the Empower, which is the personal, generates revenue. But it does not yet pay for itself. Okay. But it is the thing that is scaling and
That's
growing.
What I was going to say.
The fastest.
Because you've got 6 people that are exponentially touching different communities and leveraging that.
So she's in the midst of figuring out all of those revenue models and capital and scaling and what that means.
And it's a service business, which is very unique because you can be it's not like you've got a widget you got to sell because here's the cost of the widget. This is what I got to price it at. So I think, being open to whatever that revenue model is that works is just so very, very cool. I love understanding and hearing about different business models.
And thank you for sharing that with our listeners, because
many of them might have that.
The complexities are sometimes where we get lost in how can we create it, where can we create it, what is it going to look like, and we get stuck because we can't see all the way to the end. And the ability to move through while so much uncertainty still exists is really powerful. Surprisingly or not, we are already at the end of our time because I could talk with Rebeccah forever.
You gotta have me back.
Of
course.
Okay.
Oh God, yes.
Absolutely.
Are you kidding me? We're not done.
Can we do like a 5-part Rebeccah series?
I think yes.
Can we do a multi-season Rebeccah series?
I'm loving it because I think with the growth that you have, man, I would love to bring you back.
Anybody want to sponsor a multi-session episode Rebeccah series? I'm just saying, because that would be worth its weight in gold.
I was going to say, you've just imparted so much wisdom to people who are listening, because I can just think of, the key things that, something happened. The business didn't go right at first, but you didn't quit on your vision and you just retooled it. So that to me is like, don't stop with your vision. You might have to retool, you might have to go and do something else, but come back and do this and then think through the different models.
So while we figure out how to have the multi-Rebeccah experience, where can people find you, Empower, Emerging Wisdom, all that?
So www.emergingwisdomllc.com and then www.InPowerInstitute.com. But InPower is with an I, folks. It's not EMPower. It's INPOWER, because we help people unleash the power within themselves to create extraordinary lives and a more just and vibrant world.
Love it.
On that note, thank you for making time to be with us, to share that with our listeners as you're growing and building and becoming even more fabulous by the moment.
Yes.
So thank you.
And
thank
we
you,
love
ladies.
you.
I love you back.
Changing the way you view new ventures, igniting your thinking about entrepreneurship. It's Entrepreneurially Thinking. Get connected and discover more. Visit our website for show notes, resources, information about our guests, upcoming events, and of course, all your favorite episodes. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them for us in the comment sections, and be sure to leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes. The best way to show love is to share. Let everybody know that you're thinking entrepreneurially. So visit our website, entrepreneurially-thinking.com. #ETHINKSTL. Entrepreneurially Thinking is another positive production of Rare Gem Productions. Thanks for listening.